All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast, where business gets done. I'm your host, Ken Baden, and I am here with my friend, Jason Michael Perry. How are you this afternoon, Jason?
It's a wonderful day out in Baltimore. Can't complain.
Oh, man, I didn't even know you were a Baltimore local, man. That's awesome. We do stuff with people all over the country, so that's awesome that you're a local here. Why didn't you come in the studio?
Didn't know there was an option. I would have come into the
Oh,
studio.
man, I would have had you. We gotta. So we'll do this.
Okay.
We got to get you back in studio, man. I didn't even know that you were. But he's in Baltimore.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I think Mo is who you originally spoke with, and we were connected through because we get. For anybody who's looking,
I get it. Where are you in Baltimore?
we're not in Baltimore. We're in Crofton, but we're probably 30 minutes away from you. Yeah, we're not.
It's close.
Not far at all. I mean, whenever I fly out of BWI, it takes me about 30 minutes. And I live in Annapolis, so 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So next time, we're going to get you in here. So you in Baltimore now?
I'm in Baltimore. I'm 2 blocks from Penn Station. I'm right there by the train station, right in the middle of the city.
He's right by you?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So the young man that I was just talking about is probably coming from Baltimore to get here. So that's all right. It's funny. It's an inside joke. We'll elaborate on that another day. But yeah, so all right. Well, so we're doing a virtual, even though we're both here in the beautiful sunny state of Maryland. But and that's not my first time, though. It depends on people's time constraints. Entrepreneurs tend to be very busy. But that's awesome, man. I'm even more excited to know that we have an established author here, especially on the subject that you're talking about. But right here in the state of Maryland, man, I think that I take a lot of pride in that. So that's awesome. Are you from Maryland?
I'm from New Orleans, born and raised, but I've been at Maryland for now about 8-ish years. I was the former CTO of a company called MyGrub. I ran the technology team, and now I run my own consulting company, Perry Labs, where I help companies figure out how to navigate this AI space.
That is where I wanted to go next. A lot of our demographic is going to be entrepreneurs, especially in the home services space. But everybody is pushing AI these days. And so that's going to be the look. If you guys don't know, Jason wrote a book, right? And it's on AI. And if you'd like to introduce it, I'd be honored to have you do it. But the name of the book?
Sure. The book is called The AI Evolution. It speaks of the role of the chief AI officer. And I know not every business is going to have a C-suite person, but the title is more about the role, whoever's going to wear this hat and helping to implement AI in your organization. In the first chapter of the book, I start off by just talking about the fact that the top 5 companies by valuation, NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all 5 of those companies, none of them existed 51 years ago. Microsoft is the oldest of that bunch, and they had the 50th anniversary this year. I think the second oldest is Apple. And each of those companies speaks to the wave of innovation that's happened. First with the personal computers, then the internet, and application. And they're all saying AI is going to be bigger than this. I believe that too. But it speaks to how much technology has changed in a very simple time, but also how big this moment is. If you feel and see that this is bigger than the internet was, or that the personal computer was, and I always just say for business owners, right now we're in the AOL days of AI. That's how early we are. We're in the time as if you're talking about the internet before Amazon and e-commerce has been defined. We're defining these things. We're creating these things. And so a lot about my book is to prep businesses to understand the moment that we're in and to understand how to prepare themselves for this moment, but also to just make sure that we're all understanding how early this is. This is the infancy of this cycle that we're going to be on. And just like AOL, which was a huge company, doesn't exist today, who knows what the next company is going to be over the next 50 years. And that just speaks to the possibilities that's there for every entrepreneur, every business owner to take advantage of this stuff.
I think that's such a cool analogy. I never thought about it that way. Like, we're in the AOL days of AI. And, whether you're a blue collar business, like myself, and AI is not going to impact me. AI is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but I feel like AI is going to impact everyone, business owners or otherwise. Do you think that the impact is going to be that widespread? I mean, the entire world, no matter what we do.
I think that the blue collar businesses are some of the businesses that are seeing the impact more so than some others. I understand that you can look at AI and say, all right, white collar jobs are the ones that go away. But some of the things that are happening with AI is the way that we discover things is changing. And just to put it in perspective, for the first time in ever, Google is starting to see a reduction or a decrease in the amount of traffic that are originating search. And what's happening is that people are starting to use tools like Chat GPT to ask questions. It's replacing search. And some of the discovery that you may rely on from PPC and paid advertising for your display ads and all these things, a lot of this is starting to change. The way companies or the way people are finding businesses is changing. And AI is a big part of this. And I always ask this question when I do workshops. Have you chat GPT'd yourself? I don't know what the proper verb term is, but have you looked at yourself in Perplexity? Have you looked for your business on Claude? Have you said, how do you find your company in a world where maybe organic search and Google search is not the way to do it? And that is a big thing. And it's just something that you have to start thinking about because it's on multiple parts of your business that are going to be impacted on. It's not just the operations. It's not just the way that you do things, but it's the way that people are going to find and interact with you, maybe through chatbots.
And Chat GPT being one of those things, you're right. I haven't Chat GPT'd myself. That's actually, I need to do that. But Chat GPT would be one of those searches that you would go in. Well, you said Chat GPT yourself, and is that Claude or no? They're different things.
You can think of it like all of them are building their own Google search index that they're using. If you were to ask ChatGPT a question, it will first see if it's in its own memory, and if it's not, it may search its version of the internet and look for results and bring it back. The thing that's interesting is that if you ask it a question, unlike Google, where you get back 10 results or 20 results, it will probably give you 2 or 3 options. It won't give you one, but it'll give you some things to look at, right? But suddenly those 3 choices are kind of like your organic search results. This is what ChatGPT sees as, the best plumbing company in Maryland, just as an example. And if you don't know what that's going to be, or if you don't know how to start to work to change those results or to see why those sources are there, that can have an impact on the way that companies are starting to find your business.
That is such a cool, shout out to my business partner. Actually, I have another business called the Door-to-Door Institute. And, he talks about this all the time, and Sam does too, but Sam's not the digital media expert. Sam's the HVAC guy. But he was talking about the fact that he doesn't believe that Google is Google searches are going to go away, and that ChatGPT is going to be in it. And precisely what you just said is going to be the future in terms of people are just going to ask AI, hey, show me the best whatever roofer, this person, show me the best this company, and you just echoing that, especially in your area of expertise, because he's digital media, but you're, AI focused. It sounds like you very much agree that is going to be the future, if not already here.
It's already happening. Like I said, it's going to probably take years before we see Google's search traffic change. And they have a version, not only Google's AI overviews, but they have a version of Google that's their AI search that is more AI first. So that transition's happening. But to not get too geeky for your audience, there's these other ideas of things called A2A, which means agent to agent. And the idea of agent to agent is that your business may have a chat agent that represents it. And I will have my own agent. My agent will go talk to multiple agents. If you want to think of this as an airline situation, I have my own personal agent that knows about me. I tell it to go find the best airline prices. It will go talk to Southwest Airlines agent. It will talk to Delta's agent. It will talk to United States agent, and it'll come back and it'll bring me back results. And so the future of this, if you're going beyond this idea that we're using a computer and a keyboard to search, that we're using our voice, that we're talking to a Google Assistant or Siri, and that's the thing. And I'm saying, go find me plumbers. Well, it's going to go talk to your chat bots and bring back data, and it's going to bring back these things based on conversations that it has. And what this shows is that as you're finding that you're interacting with this technology different, as you're finding that you're thinking of it differently when you say, I want to go book a reservation for a restaurant, these are core things that are happening everywhere. And a lot of times, this doesn't start with an open table or a Yelp anymore. It doesn't start with a Google search anymore. It's changing. And again, this is early on. It's going to take 5, maybe 10 years. But there's this concept that's called Google Zero, this idea of what happens to your business when your organic search traffic that comes from Google finally hits zero. How have you prepared yourself for the other mechanisms of discovery that you're going to need to balance that out? And that's before we talk about the operational impacts that AI can have on your business. And it speaks to the importance of how big this is. This is like talking about Sears before Amazon exists, right? This is that moment where we don't know what it is yet, but we know that AI is going to have a fundamental change in the way that we do commerce. We know that AI is going to have a fundamental change in the way that we do discovery. We know that these things are being created now. And if you're not following it, it's very easy to find yourself get left behind as this technology starts to adapt and starts to grow.
Man, you're so passionate about AI and about your knowledge base. I mean, I could listen to you talk about it all day long. What do you say to people that are terrified at the thought of AI, and as you're right, it's so new. It's so, in business, and we're speaking to business owners, and, I'm sure, and we'll make sure, by the way, my ADHD just kicked in and re-engaged. Jonathan Bannister, my buddy / business partner, I started to shout him out, and I didn't even say his name. I said Sam's name and not John. Shout out John. John's the one who gets the credit for saying that Google will be obsolete relatively soon. I'm sure they'll come out with their own AI, but getting back to the question I was just talking about, what do you say to folks that are like, hey, AI is it's gonna be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I don't think that's gonna stop it, but I mean, like, do you have any opinions on that, or is that too far-fetched in science fiction to even get into, or what do you say to folks that are just terrified of it and don't want anything to do with it?
This is early. This is early. I mean, again, like to go back to the AOL days of AI, we're talking about the AI now in the dial-up days. There's a whole level of things that are starting to happen, including the combination of AI and robotics that are coming together in interesting ways. We're starting to see this idea in the next few years of general purpose robotics with small or large language models, AI models in their brains that can do things and can function. And it's not to a place yet, but you have companies like Amazon who are discussing the last line of delivery, robots on the back of trucks that get out and do delivery and drop boxes off and then ring your doorbell and get back on the opposite side of a truck that's potentially an autonomous vehicle that's driving. And they're prototyping and testing this stuff now. This isn't 20, 30 years in the future. We're talking 5, 10 years in the future. What I say to businesses who are kind of closing their eyes to this is that it's right now is the time to lean in. Just like AOL doesn't exist, those 5 companies didn't exist 51 years ago because they rode the wave on technology. There are companies like Warby Parker or all these different companies that have been able to embrace technology and use it to do things that are amazing. And this is that opportunity. This is that opportunity to create something and to start to enable this technology before the vocabulary exists, before the words e-commerce exists, before the word internet search exists. So as we're creating those terms, it means that there's also an opportunity to be to have that first attack, advantage, and to start using this technology to be number one in Chat GPT, while your other competitors aren't even thinking about it. To be number one in the new discovery system, while your other competitors don't even know it's a thing, and that might take a while before you see the benefit, but long term, this is that first mover's advantage that you may never see again.
Do you have any, I don't want you to give away all the Kool-Aid, but do you have any quick pointers that, just a couple or one, that you could, just one hot tip for how one could possibly impact their Chat GPT score?
So one of my favorite search engines to use is this thing called Perplexity. And I'll also talk about Chat GPT. But if you use any of these and you search for, again, like I said, the best plumbers in Maryland, right? Or best plumber in a particular zip code, it will show you the sources. And it'll also show you what it's using to search behind the scenes. What I'm finding, and and how this is happening is that a lot of listing sites, top 10 whatevers and top 5 whatevers are tending to be the sites that these AI models are using as the basis of their results. But if you can get an idea of what those things are, that can make a big difference. Also, I think you have to take advantage of the fact that these are typically trying to show at least a handful of results. If you ask a question like, "What's the best finance tool to use?" You might think QuickBooks, but I promise you, if you ask that to ChatGPT or Claude or an AI model, it's going to try to give you 3 or 4 answers to be balanced. And sometimes that means when there isn't a clear second or third, it's still pulling or looking for something else to fill in that gap, so that it also provides some opportunities in some cases where things are a little bit more narrow. There are also some technologies that are starting to emerge, specifically, with ChatGPT, that allow you as a business to build in your own interface into ChatGPT. There are big companies exploring this, but there are also small companies that are exploring that may allow you to have a Yelp interface that's directly in ChatGPT that allows you to ask questions. And so it's possible that as those things start to emerge, some of those other types of tools can become really good places to make sure that you focus on your discovery. Maybe that Yelp score becomes even more important.
That's my brain's going while you're saying that. I'm like, that all makes total sense. It's like reinforcing the importance for some of these things that you might not have thought were important, but if that's where ChatGPT is pulling from, well, all of a sudden that's pretty important.
The way to think about this is the way that it's always worked is OpenAI and ChatGPT, Claude, all of these companies, they're going out and they're saying, who can I trust? Who's a trusted source that has a whole bunch of this information that when someone asks me for this information, I can go to that source and use that as a trusted source. And there's some of those that they're going to try and get by crawling the internet and looking for resources that they can find, those top guides and things like that. Being in some Maryland magazine saying you're the best of the best is always helpful. But also, some of them are going to start pointing to, the tried and true like discovery sources. And in the case of Google, it uses a lot of Reddit data. In the case of ChatGPT, maybe we'll strike a deal with someone like Yelp. And this is, again, keeping up to date on what's happening in the space to start to realize that discovery is changing and that there may be things that are more important now to focus on and make sure that your business has a presence as this stuff evolves.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like keeping up with, I guess it's not just Google. You got to keep up with understanding, I suppose, what it is what it's using, and knowing too that your presence, your online footprint, I guess, right? Like, but yeah. It's not just online. It might be magazines. It might be, and I don't want you to give away too much. And in fact, that you got to, because I would imagine that there's some that have more of an impact, and I could be wrong, but maybe and that's what I'd be a conversation for another day, perhaps when you come in person.
But the first place to start, just like we said, is for everybody should go check out every AI model and ask it what it knows about you. What does it know about your business? And you can tell based on the way that it responds, you can start to see, like, I know where that information came from. That sounds familiar sometimes. It will also give you a list of sources, and click on that sources list. And you're like, this is where it's getting information about me. This is where I can go change the way that it describes my services. And you want to ask it, does it know the products and services that you offered? Is it saying these things correctly?
Interesting thing about AI is you could actually almost ask, hey, how can I improve my, couldn't you, in theory, hey, I'd like to improve my visibility, to someone else looking for me on here. How could I do that? And it would tell me an honest answer.
Looking for the words that you want to look for, it's called answer engine optimization, or AEO, and there's also one called generative engine optimization, or GEO. These are the two big words, and Not only could you Google it, but you can, go to your Chat GPT and I don't know, prompt it, Claude it, Chat GPT it. We're gonna have to come up with a good verb for that. But however you do it, you could go ask it a question about how do I use AEO to help improve my site, and it will give you some solid recommendations on things that you can do. And it can look at your site and see the things that you're doing, especially if you're already doing SEO, search engine optimization.
How do I use AEO? Okay.
EO and GEO.
AEO and GEO. This has been more informative relative to how to utilize AI, especially as it pertains to your business, than I think I've gotten since AI started getting talked about, which is crazy, to your point, how fast. Like, I was just thinking about this. I went to a conference maybe 2 years ago, and like, the whole pretense was like, ooh, AI is coming, and da-da-da-da-da, and then here we are, and it's like, it's here. And to your point, it's like, it's kind of here, but like, it's just getting here. Like, we're talking about robots getting off trucks. I started thinking about, like, I got visions of like, are robots going to be on roofs, putting who knows? I don't know. Maybe they got a little robot that's going to bring some shingles up. Those are heavy. You never know.
Have you heard of this new robot that's out? It's a little funny, but this robot called Neo. And it's a robot. It's, I think, $20,000 you can buy it, but it doesn't do anything on its own. They have folks, who are in an office who put on VR headsets and connect to the robot and control the robot remotely. And so you can imagine having like a whole workforce in a low-cost country of some sort that beams into an army of robots and picks up things and moves it, or cleans your house, or cooks or cooks, and they just beam into the robot and control it with the gloves and a VR headset. That's a product that's shipping next year. And so yes.
No, I haven't heard that. That sounds terrifying.
Well, that's already possible. You can put a robot in your house and you can have someone beam in while you're home or while you're away at work. And it can go clean your house, wash your dishes, and do all the things and all your tasks. And it's just a guy who beams into the bot and controls it remotely.
Beams into the bot and controls it to go and get a kitchen knife or something crazy like that.
It could be whatever. I'm sure that there's safeguards, but this is all.
I would hope there's some safeguards. Dude, I'm already thinking like, all right, hold up now. I've seen this movie, literally, even though, oh man, that's crazy. Wow. Okay. Well, that's unnerving. Now you got me wanting to go back to the whole scared of AI thing, but that's not even AI. That's just robots.
That's just robots. That's without the AI. Their goal is that by doing these tasks, so they're training the robots, so then training the AI, and then they'll have the AI that will be able to do these things and do more general purpose stuff for you. That's at least what this company says. But
what about you? You seem to have a lot of knowledge. Let me make myself feel better. I hope. I don't know. You might tell me something that I don't want to hear, but what do you think? Are you overall this AI revolution good, bad, indifferent in terms of our future?
So I'm definitely a tech optimist. I see the happy side and the possibilities of technology. I do a podcast too, and one of the ones that I just recorded recently was this question about whether technology is really consistently an answer to disabilities. So much technology, so many things that we don't think about help to bridge this gap between things that we're not necessarily great at doing as humans. And just like as a very basic example, I wear glasses. I can tell you I'm blind as a bat, not, and I don't want to be insulting to anyone who's actually blind. I don't see very well without these. I can't imagine the world where this was not a possibility. And that starts to put in perspective the gaps that these things start to fill. That technology is the great equalizer. This is something that can take anyone and give them the ability to do things that maybe were not possible before. I have this very Star Trek-esque, goal of thought of the world where everything is perfect and utopian, of course. And I know that some people are gonna go have the robot pick up the kitchen knife, but there's also so many things that are possible, so many things that just couldn't be done, and so many doors that open. And I'm hopeful that humanity uses this as a way to unlock opportunity.
So your overall, just your optimism lies more in humanity's overall good nature versus picking up the kitchen knife. Well,
humanity, don't prove me wrong.
Right, exactly. And I'm also hoping in AI. That's the thing. But I suppose AI. I don't know how it works, but it's only, I mean, it's being programmed initially. And I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't decide to get its own, because I've already read like, it's tried to save itself several times and did all this crazy stuff. I'm like, oh, here we go, dude. Here we go. Rise of the machines.
In a lot of ways, AI is a reflection of us,
That's what I was getting at, yes.
Have you ever thought of it this way? That why is it that we build robots in our own image? Robots that walk on two legs and have two arms. That's not necessarily the most optimal thing, But we have a tendency to create things, in our own image, and AI is something that's being created in our own image, and it in some ways is going to suffer from the faults that we built into it. But I also will ask the question: is it that sci-fi is becoming true, or is it that we see sci-fi and we feel the need to create it, right? All these things are happening not necessarily because you watched the Jetsons as a kid, but because someone saw that and said, man, that would be amazing. And we've been working towards building those things and those possibilities ever since.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I don't know, man.
20 years from now, we're going to have to join this call and just see if...
yeah, man.
But
I hope, yes, sir.
Tabs.
Yes. Hey, man, I tell you what, if it starts to get crazy, I could see you being the hero in one of these movies or something. So I'm coming to find you because you're the optimist. You know what I mean? And I'll be the guy shaking. Like, I told you. You went and grabbed the kitchen knife, man. I told you. No, I genuinely think that it's going to be. But and all jokes aside, this is a business show. So if we're back to the fact that, but don't let me get too sci-fi on you. However, I do think that 100% the future is coming in terms of, and Jason's 1,000% right. If you're not keeping up with AI relative to your business, you're just going to miss out. And right now is a perfect time to start doing some research. You can't just ignore it and go away. It'd be like ignoring Google or the internet. That's the overall message I think here is we're so early on that you can use this to get in where you missed out back then, right? And like I said, my buddy John was preaching that, you're preaching that, you've written a book about it, and let's mention the book again. It is The AI Revolution.
AI Evolution.
AI Evolution, not revolution, AI Evolution, right?
That's it. And just to end, I would say that relying on Google to be the saving grace for your business is like relying on the yellow pages to be the thing that's going to continue to drive traffic to your business. And it might take a day, it might take a year, but I don't know if the yellow pages are going to be the thing that's going to keep giving you the business that you need. And if you don't start planning for it, it will be a problem.
And you young guys, because I think Roger is looking at me like, what the hell is a yellow pages? That's a phone book. And so that's how old we're talking here. So, but Jason, where can our listeners find you if they wanted to? So look, if you're a business owner and you want to utilize Jason's services for consulting purposes, you have more questions about AI, I'd imagine how to integrate AI into your business or into your, into your business, and how to get your book. Where can we find information on you or your book?
Best place to find it is my website, jasonmperry.com. That's www.jasonmperry.com. And check me out there. I'm also on LinkedIn if you search for Jason Michael Perry. And you can find links to my newsletter, my book, podcasts, as well as links to Perry Labs, my business from there, and contact form to reach out if you would like to talk.
Or you can Chat GPT or Claude, Jason Michael Perry, see what comes up. See if anything comes up. It better. Bunch of stuff better come up. I'm just teasing. But seriously, you probably could do that. Jason, thank you so much for your time. Brother, we got to get you in here, man. We can't do this. We got to have a follow-up episode. Let's do it next year, 2026. We'll recap, because you already know AI is going to be at the forefront of everything. I think Q1, into Q1, beginning of Q2. Hopefully the market's in a little bit better of a place. We're all feeling a little bit better. I'm trying to be an optimist there. I'm really trying. But hopefully that's the case. And we can get in person and let's talk about AI and just kind of update, man. I think that's actually a really cool idea, because truth be told, the fact that we are talking about it the way we're talking about it, being the infancy in the early days of, say, the internet, I think the more information we can get on this, the better. So selfishly, having you back on for my listeners, I think would be a huge value add. So man, if you're open to it, we'd love to have you back out here in a couple months and do another one.
At worst case, I'll see if I can send a robot.
Beam in through your robot and come do it here. Either way, we got to get him. We got to get, I guess, it or you on. Either way, but thank you so much, my brother. We'll have to see you soon. Enjoy this cold weather, and guys, we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.